Hi, I'm Catherine Clack, Associate Dean of Undergraduates and Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. I want to take a moment first and foremost to welcome you to Rice University and thank you for choosing this fantastic institution. Part of my responsibility as the Director of Multicultural Affairs is to help build a supportive and truly inclusive community at Rice. Diversity and inclusion are paramount here. Even on Zoom, you will find that Rice is a richly diverse community. It's something we prize and continually work hard to achieve. True inclusion, however, requires commitment, time, and the dedication of all our members of campus. So I'd like to take some time to talk about your role in helping Rice be a truly inclusive university. You've likely been hearing a lot about our culture of care, which covers lots of areas, but basically means we look out for and are responsible for each other's success and well-being. You're going to discover students called diversity facilitators. There are 2 in each college who've been assigned for a week, and they will be leading workshops for you later on this week. And it's our hope that they are able to instill not only our unique culture of care, but get you started on the road to realizing that the lenses through which you see the world may be affecting your decisions about how, and maybe even if you associate with diverse members of our community. Perhaps your lens is creating blind spots. Those blind spots are biases, and guess what? We all have them. Unconscious biases influence our decisions and behavior in ways so subtle that they can completely escape our notice. And while we cannot completely rid ourselves of those unconscious biases, this is not an excuse for not embracing diversity or not trying to tackle those biases when we become aware of them. It's because of those biases, though, that we then create unintended messages or actions that can tend to exclude others. For instance, did you come to Rice thinking, well, I'm going to sign up with a bunch of guys for my physics study group because subconsciously you're thinking guys are better at physics? That's a bias. And based on the brilliant women you're about to encounter, you're also going to find out that's a mistake. More and more, we are bearing witness to what arises out of the failure of some to embrace equality, equity, and justice for all. The recent murder of George Floyd, for instance, amongst so many others, set off protests led by the Black Lives Matter movement that are unprecedented in their scope and persistence. They are still going on. People of all races, religions, and identities from hundreds of cities in every state have lent their voices to the cry for the end of police brutality against Black Americans and the end of systemic racism. Now you might say, what the heck is systemic racism? Well, systemic racism consists of racist ideas and practices that are embedded within social organizations and institutions. For instance, policies, laws, families, our education system. And systemic racism is so pervasive that the Black Lives Matter protests and demands to end systemic racism have spread to several nations abroad. I don't know if you were able to see those pictures of thousands of people on the streets in London and thousands of people on the streets in Paris, all demanding an end to systemic racism and supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. Your diversity facilitators, peers in your colleges, have spent the summer educating your peers and advisors and A-teams on this incredible movement and how we can move ourselves from not only not being racist, but to actively being anti-racist. So we want to challenge, perhaps, how you view diversity, how it's part of your world, whether or not you acknowledge or recognize it. And more importantly, how it is necessary for all of us to be part of the process of valuing diversity. It's about accepting responsibility for your role in creating and sustaining a community that is more inclusive and equitable in its treatment of racial and ethnic minorities, women, the differently abled, your LGBTQ peers, religious diversity, and it's central to the mission of this great university. We want to help you be effective allies, for instance, should you choose to do so that you can be a true ally to the victims of discrimination and oppression. Now, an ally is someone who is not a member of an underrepresented group, but who takes action to support that group. I don't want to give you the impression, however, that Rice is a bad or troubled place. Quite the contrary. Rice is not a place where overt racism or sexism or homophobia lives and thrives, but like anywhere else, it is a place where microaggressions take place. What are microaggressions? Microaggressions are those common, everyday verbal and behavioral communications, whether intentional or unintentional, that transmit hostile, derogatory, or negative messages toward historically marginalized group. Let me give you an example. If you're commenting to an Asian American student on how well they speak English, the microaggression is that you presume they are not born here. Or if you tell a Black person how articulate they are, the presumption is that that is so unexpected to you that a Black person would be articulate. Those are microaggressions. The problem with microaggressions is that people who commit them might not even be aware of them. So what can you do? First and foremost, pause and listen when someone says, "You've said something that hurts me." Try to understand. Try to avoid being defensive or defending your comments or actions. Work towards an apology and make a note to cease that behavior or comment. We believe open dialogue to discuss and work through differences in beliefs and values are crucial to the operation of a democratic society and to maintaining a healthy environment at Rice. And an honest discussion on something like race, racism, sexism, or homophobia is bound to evoke some strong emotional reactions. Sometimes you get anger, sometimes you get guilt, sometimes you get defensiveness, other times you feel helplessness. Maybe you're just completely turned off by the conversation. Maybe you feel crippled with fear. These are all totally unpleasant reactions, and of course they cause discomfort. That is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the process of having thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavior and attitude, change. You get new information that makes you rethink your previous beliefs or stances, and it's not comfortable. Imagine coming to school at 18 years old, your entire life thinking that, let's say for instance, God does not exist. You take a class in religion and you explore different sorts of religions around the globe. You talk with students and peers. Someone invites you to a Chi Alpha meeting and you go and you enjoy the fellowship and you're listening to what is taught, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a place of cognitive dissonance. What's uncomfortable is that I have been raised this way and now I'm starting to think differently. It's easier. I know it is so much easier to completely avoid talking about or even thinking about these issues than it is to enter a challenging dialogue on those topics. There is great privilege in the ability to do that, in the ability to say, I don't want to have these conversations. I don't want to learn about these issues. But that means that you are neglecting the experience and the lives and the words of your peers. So we want you to have those conversations. Honestly, you'll make mistakes. That's okay. Learn from them. So let's move beyond these barriers, because these conversations should very much be a part of your growth, your development, and your college experience. My golly, this is the place for it. This is the time for it. Take time to reflect. Think about who you are and the kind of person you want to be. What impact do you want to make on Rice? How do you want others to speak of you? Reflection is an important part of any anti-racist's toolkit because it involves being able to take a critical look at your own experiences, beliefs, and behaviors, and it has to start there. During O Week, you will attend 2 diversity workshops. One that will help you understand privilege, microaggressions, how to respond to microaggressions, biases, and how to be an ally to others. The second workshop will provide you with an understanding of current events and systemic racism. When you attend, open up, explore, share your thoughts, ideas, frustrations, and feelings, and take the time to get to know your classmates on a different level. You spend a lot of time during O Week getting to know names and having casual chit-chat over meals and having a wonderful time. But at this time, we want you to get to know each other differently. We want you to talk about those issues of identity that are important to yourself and are important to others. I realize that for some, there is great difficulty in finding empathy with perspectives that they don't personally understand or identify with, but please don't rely on others to educate you. Educate yourself. Learn about privilege. Know the difference between equity and equality. Understand intersectionality. Educating ourselves and engaging in civil and constructive dialogue is more critical now than at any time in your young lives. If the protests of this summer have proven nothing else, they did prove that. It is critical that we have those conversations. This is not easy, but the effort is everything. Reflect, read, explore, open up, and dialogue honestly so we can continue to uphold this spectacular community of diversity and inclusion. Let me close with a quote from the late, great Congressman John Lewis. He said, "When you see something that is not right, you must say something. You must do something. Democracy is not a state, it is an act, and each generation must do its part to help build what we called the beloved community, a nation and world society at peace with itself." With that, I welcome you to Rice University. We're delighted you chose to join our beloved community. Thank you for your time.